Welcome back. In the previous lecture, we have dealt with the first order system and we have obtained its impulse response and step response. Also, we have solved certain numerical examples. In this lecture, we will discuss about the second order system and its types depending upon the damping factor. So, let us start with the second order system. Say a typical second order system with unity gain is omega n square upon s square plus 2 zeta omega ns plus omega n square. In general, this is actually numerator is k into omega n square, k, where k is the gain. In this case, k is equal to 1, that is why we said that it is unity gain system and it is a second order system. It has two poles. Now, in this transfer function, where omega n is the natural frequency of oscillation and zeta is the damping factor. So, according to this zeta, the system can be classified as, second order system can be classified as depending upon zeta. So, let us take the values of zeta and type of this type and the type of system has no relevance. This is, you can say, class of second order system, or this is classification. So, if zeta is 0, then the system is called as undamped. That means here zeta is equal to 0, so no damping is provided. Why it is called as damping and all, that we will discuss when we will see the impulse and step response of the second order system. Now, if the zeta is between 0 and 1, it is called as underdamped second order system. This is the important class of second order system, and most of the desired responses in the control system are the underdamped with zeta around 0.8. Then the third one is where zeta is 1. Let me make it zeta equal to 0 and this also zeta equal to 1. Then the system is called as critically damped. And the last one is where zeta is greater than 1, then it is called as overdamped. So, as discussed earlier, poles are the roots of the denominator. So, depending upon the value of zeta, there will be certain pole locations. So, let us see that also, because those pole locations are going to decide the nature of time response. So, that is why let us see another thing, damping factor and pole locations. So, if zeta is equal to 0, now if you put here zeta equal to 0, this denominator becomes s square plus omega n square, and hence the poles are at s equal to plus or minus j omega n. That means they are purely imaginary. At s equal to plus or minus j omega n. Then next, zeta is between 0 and 1. So if zeta is between 0 and 1, this will be having the roots which are complex conjugates of each other, complex conjugates. So the roots will be complex conjugates. At s is equal to minus zeta omega n plus or minus j omega n under root 1 minus zeta square. Very simple, and this can be done by finding out its roots. Then at zeta equal to 1, at zeta equal to 1, this becomes s square plus 2 omega n s plus omega n square, which is nothing but s plus omega n whole square. So roots are, or poles are real and equal. At s is equal to plus minus omega n, there will be two roots, they will be repeated roots at s equal to minus omega n. And finally the zeta greater than 1, that is overdamped system, if this is greater than 1, then both the roots will be real, both the roots will be real, and but they will be distinct. So roots will be real and distinct, and it can be determined from this. You will get it as plus or minus zeta omega n plus or minus omega n into under root zeta square minus 1, that is at s is equal to minus zeta omega n plus or minus omega n under root 1 minus zeta square minus 1, because here zeta is greater than 1. So they can be located like, if you have a pole 0 plot, then for zeta equal to 0, the roots will be purely imaginary, the system will be undamped. So for undamped system, roots are purely imaginary and they are located like this. So this is S plane. Then when the zeta is between 0 and 1, the roots will be somewhere here. They will be complex conjugate of each other, so they will have real part as well as imaginary part. Then next, when zeta is equal to 1, both roots will be here at, say, let this be minus omega n. Both roots will be here, and when it becomes zeta greater than 1, then one of the root will be here and the other will be here. These two will be the roots when the system is overdamped. So what happens, as zeta, if you think that, say, initially zeta is 0 and we start increasing zeta from 0 onwards, so it will be following the path like this. This pair will come here like this, and then one will go here and the other will go here. It will happen like this. So this is the effect of zeta on the pole locations of the system. Because of this, it is also affecting the time response of the system, and whether it is impulse or step response, you can have nature of response depending upon the damping factor. That also we will see. Damping factor, nature of time response. So if zeta is equal to 0, as the roots are purely imaginary, the response is oscillatory with constant amplitude. So it will be a sinusoidal signal, and with constant amplitude, a single sinusoidal signal will be the output, whether it is step response or impulse response. Then if zeta is between 0 and 1, it will be oscillatory but with diminishing amplitude. Diminishing amplitude means as time t progresses, the oscillation will die out, and at time t equal to infinity, there will not be any oscillation, there will be steady state. Then next is zeta equal to 1. The response is non-oscillatory. Critically damped system, response is non-oscillatory. So you can make pairs of this. When system zeta is 0, system is undamped, poles are purely imaginary, response is oscillatory with constant amplitude. When zeta is between 0 and 1, system is underdamped, poles are complex conjugate at the given location. This can be calculated, given here. It is like this, and response is oscillatory but with diminishing amplitude. When zeta is 1, system is critically damped, poles are real and equal, response is non-oscillatory. What about zeta greater than 1? For zeta greater than 1, also the system is non-oscillatory but slower than that of with zeta equal to 1. So it will be also non-oscillatory, but it will be slower as compared to the response. So when the poles moves or from the imaginary axis towards real axis, the oscillations dies out. This imaginary axis stands for oscillations and real axis stands for non-oscillatory response or damping. Damping means, that is why now we will say damping means what? Damping the oscillations, making it non-oscillatory. So as zeta increases, oscillations will reduce. Now let us see the impulse response of second order system. So we have g of s is equal to omega n square upon s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square, which is also equal to y of s by r of s. Now for impulse input or for impulse response, r of s is equal to 1. This is as we have done it for the first order system. So y of s is equal to omega n square upon s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square. Same as transfer function. That is why impulse response and transfer function are the Laplace transform pairs. That is, if you take Laplace transform impulse response, you get transfer function, and if you get inverse Laplace transform of transfer function, you get impulse response. So again, for different zeta values we will do it. So damping factor and impulse response. It can be done by taking inverse Laplace of this for different zeta values. By partial fractions it can be done, but here I will do it directly. So for zeta equal to 0, that is undamped system, the impulse response is y of t is equal to omega n sin omega n t, which is nothing but a sinusoidal signal with constant amplitude. Then for zeta between 0 and 1, it shall be oscillatory with diminishing amplitude. So it is given by y of t is equal to, I have done it, omega n upon under root 1 minus zeta square e raised to minus zeta omega n t into sine omega n under root 1 minus zeta square t. So here you can see that this is a amplitude, so with e raised to it is multiplied with e raised to minus zeta omega n t. So as time t progresses, this e raised to zeta omega n t term start reducing exponentially, and that is why this amplitude of the sinusoidal signal starts decreasing with increasing time. The next is for zeta equal to 1. So for zeta equal to 1, this will be omega n square upon s plus omega n whole square. So it is nothing but omega n square t e raised to minus omega n t. So here also you can see that as time t increases, this also increases, but this exponential decreases. So decrement is more, and hence it approaches to 0 at time t equal to infinity. And it is non-oscillatory, it will not oscillate. And finally for zeta greater than 1 also, you will get the response which is non-oscillatory. It is also a complicated expression. It is omega n upon 2 into under root zeta square minus 1 into bracket e raised to minus zeta omega n minus omega n under root zeta square minus 1 t minus e raised to minus zeta omega n plus omega n zeta square minus 1 t. So you can see these exponentials are nothing but the poles where minus zeta omega n plus or minus omega n under root zeta square minus 1 for the overdamped system. So they are appearing in the exponentials. So if you want to sketch these responses, impulse response, you will get it like this. Let here we have omega n, and let this be minus omega n. So this first expression for underdamped will be a sine wave, and it will be continuously oscillatory till the infinity. Then if you consider this one, it is also starting this way, but the amplitude is decreasing likewise, and this is continuously oscillatory with the natural frequency, and the oscillation frequency of this is something different, that is called a damped frequency, because it is damped due to damping. And what is that? That frequency is nothing but omega n into under root 1 minus zeta square, that is also called as damped frequency, omega d. We will come to that point later on. This is just I am telling you the information. So this is what for undamped. This one is underdamped. Then next we will see critically damped. So in this critically damped system, what happens? It is slower than this underdamped. At some time it reaches its maximum, and then it starts decreasing, and it will never cross the 0. This blue line will touch this 0 line only at time t equal to infinity. So this is for critically damped. And finally the overdamped. So for overdamped, it is similar to the critically damped, but it is slower than that. So it will reach somewhere the maximum and then starts decreasing, moving towards the zero line, will touch the zero line at time t equal to infinity. So this one is overdamped. So we have discussed the first order, second order system, its types and its impulse response. It is enough in this lecture. In the next lecture, we will discuss the step response of second order system and time domain specification for the typical second order underdamped system. Thank you.